Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for swinging by. Today, we're going to be breaking down some really exciting news about a new partnership that was just announced between FedEx and Microsoft, what it means for the future of commerce, what it means for the future of logistics and transportation, and I hope you guys are excited. Let's get into it. So if you guys are new to this channel, which I'm guessing pretty much all of you are considering it's brand new, on this channel we break down general news, tips, topics, and strategies specific to logistics and transportation. So if that sounds like it's something that's up your alley, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, become a long-term member of the community, comment below, like the video, any sort of help. It really means a lot to me as a brand new channel. So thank you guys for that. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be talking about a new partnership that was announced between FedEx and Microsoft and what it really means for the future of both logistics and online commerce. So this multi-year partnership is going to mean some pretty cool things relative to some hot industry buzzwords in logistics and transportation recently, like AI, machine learning, predictive analytics, and that sort of thing. But this isn't Microsoft's first entry into the logistics and supply chain arena. Back in 2017, they announced a major partnership with Maersk, specifically built around Microsoft's Azure network, which is something that we'll talk about a little bit later in the video as well. So the partnership with FedEx is kind of similar to that. It involves elements of both Microsoft's Azure network in addition to Dynamics 365, or D365 as you might hear it called, which is Microsoft's cloud-based enterprise resource planning, or ERP platform. And in the short term, Microsoft and FedEx have already announced that they're going to be rolling out a product as soon as this summer called FedEx Surround. Now, the product is likely only going to be available in beta when it first releases, but they're looking to scale pretty quickly and put it into widespread adoption not long after that. So really what the gist of the partnership is all about is how FedEx can take their data, their capture data, and then integrate that into the Microsoft suite of computing tools to offer some really cool services into the market. So really what we're talking about with that data capture element is FedEx proprietary scanning technology, right? All the things that they're scanning in relative to packages when the driver picks them up, as they go through their facilities, as it goes through a transit life cycle, so to speak, all the way up to delivery. So how can they take that data capture and that scanning technology and then plug that into Microsoft's machine learning and AI tools to be able to offer some more exciting predictive analytics for both shippers and consumers? So most current shipment tracking and parcel tracking solutions are really kind of limited to where is the shipment right now and when do we think it's going to deliver. And what FedEx and Microsoft are really hoping to accomplish with the FedEx Surround solution is more of a predictive analytics application of not only where is the shipment right now and when is it going to be there, but are we seeing anything between now and that delivery that could potentially cause a service failure, and can the Microsoft AI solutions be able to predict that service failure to a much higher degree than any sort of applications that exist today. So the additional data points that we're talking about that can predict that sort of thing are things like adverse weather conditions, global commerce conditions, traffic, you name it, really just inputting all of those data points into the tracking life cycle, so to speak, to be able to predict those potential service failures or potential issues before they arise. So put another way, the FedEx Surround platform is going to take data from potentially thousands of different sources and use that to predict these service failures before they even occur. So we're not just talking about, being able to get an alert when your shipment of Sour Patch Kids gets delayed. Think a little bit bigger. Think about just-in-time manufacturing, or even think about healthcare and hospitals. So put another way, we're talking about being able to shift our relationship with tracking from something that's more reactionary to something that's more proactive, so to speak. So as we talked about a few seconds ago, most tracking capabilities today are just limited to, hey, a service failure has occurred, we wanted you to know, but there's really not much that you can do about it. Well, now we're talking about changing the nature of that to predicting that service failure before it's occurred so that somebody can do something with that information or change or alter the nature of that shipment in some way so that we can prevent that service failure from happening. And we're not just talking about being able to get a notification that your industrial size shipment of Sour Patch Kids has been delayed. Think bigger bigger picture. Think just-in-time manufacturing, or even think about healthcare, right? Maybe we've got instances where hospitals who are in need of life or death supplies that just don't have the luxury of being able to experience even one-day transit failures. They need to be able to get those items when they need them. Otherwise, people's lives could potentially be in jeopardy. So with applications like the FedEx Surround solution, we're talking about not just being able to let them know that a service failure has occurred, but being able to notify them of that service failure before it's occurred, so that if they need to, they can reroute that shipment, they can expedite it, they can rescue it, or they can do something to fundamentally change the nature of it so that they can ensure they still get that product on time. Now, this sort of technology isn't new, at least conceptually. As I said in the beginning video, things like artificial intelligence and machine learning and predictive analytics, these are really big buzzwords in logistics and supply chain. But the FedEx Surround platform represents one of the first applications to actually put it into practice in reality, not just in speculation or in conceptual idea. Now, the artificial intelligence element of it isn't really what blows my mind. Sure, it's really, really cool that we could have potentially AI technologies that are alerting us that a parcel may encounter a snowstorm, and as a result of that, it's likely to be delayed by a day, and now we can potentially do something with that and reroute that shipment. That stuff's all really, really cool, but that's not the part that gets me the most fired up. So the really cool part about this is actually the machine learning element, right? So in other words, because there's an ML component to this, every single package that FedEx ships, which by the way is almost 15 million a day, every single one of those 15 million packages is going to give this tool the ability to learn. The machine learning algorithms are going to take that data, they're going to aggregate it, they're going to analyze it, they're going to improve, they're going to learn. It's going to be like a child growing up right in front of our eyes, right? It's going to get smarter and smarter and smarter up until the point where now it might be able to take those predictive analytics and actually put them into action without humans having to be involved in the process whatsoever. So in other words, we take that same example of the hospital that's waiting on this much needed product and it needs to get there, right? With the AI element, we're going to be able to tell it, hey, that a service failure is going to exist. So if you want to do something with this, this is your time. Take action before it's too late so we can ensure you get the product on time. But with the machine learning aspect of this, it's going to be able to take that data and learn and then potentially just take that decisive action on your behalf. So it recognizes that the package is going to be delayed, it recognizes the best course of action to potentially ensure that that no longer happens, and it implements that solution in a matter of seconds or a matter of nanoseconds even, without humans even having to be involved in the process. The really crazy part about this is that over time, as enough data points come into that machine learning algorithm, it might actually even be able to predict potential issues before you even ship the package. So in other words, if it's run millions and millions and millions of parcels from point A to point B, whether that be state to state, city to city, business to business, however nuanced or micro we want to get with that analysis, it's going to have enough data in that to be able to tell you, hey, there's an X percentage chance that you're going to be able to run into an issue with this shipment. And if you wouldn't like to do that, here are some potentially alternatives that the machine learning algorithm can recommend for you to be able to ensure that you have a greater likelihood of that package getting where it needs to go on time. So for shippers who are utilizing the Dynamics 365 solution as their ERP platform, you're likely going to get a new suite of really cool and exciting tools sooner rather than later, which is pretty awesome. And I'm banking on the fact that FedEx obviously knows that and are looking to utilize that partnership with Microsoft to make deep inroads and probably penetrate the commercial markets quite a bit more than they have been, because the commercial markets have traditionally been dominated, at least on the ground side and the parcel side, by UPS. And whereas residential shipments tend to be onesie twosies, as you know, when you order something from an online retailer, it's probably just one package. The commercial business has much better density to it. So in other words, there's multiple packages traditionally associated with one commercial delivery as opposed to one package with residential, which is obviously a little bit more profitable for FedEx and for all parcel carriers for that matter. So I think you're going to see them looking to potentially cross-sell this solution. And again, if you're a shipper and you're utilizing Dynamics 365 and you're a UPS customer today, there's going to be some appeal in at least exploring these solutions or exploring FedEx as a viable service provider, because you're going to have access to this awesome suite of tools that you might not be able to get with UPS. Now, it even goes one step beyond that. So we've mostly been talking about the commercial implications of this, but there's certainly likely to be consumer implications as well. So most of you will know that about a year ago, FedEx formally severed its ties with Amazon, most of that being due to the fact that they just didn't really want to deal with the demands that Amazon was putting on their network anymore, coupled with the fact that every day it looks like Amazon is becoming more and more likely to be the next major parcel competitor alongside UPS and FedEx. And so obviously FedEx probably doesn't want to be delivering packages for someone who's liable to become their competitor at any day. So they went ahead and made this announcement that they were no longer going to be partnering with Amazon or delivering packages for them moving forward. Now, through their partnership with Microsoft, it looks like they may actually be able to turn the tables and go head-to-head with them in the online and digital commerce space, at least in some capacity. So we talked about the Azure platform a little bit earlier in the video, and Azure is the second largest cloud computing network right behind AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. Now, a lot of people will know that obviously Amazon has been gobbling up the majority of online retail business, and they've been in stiff competition with a lot of providers, notably Walmart. Shout out anybody who listens to the Business Wars podcast knows about the great competitive lengths that Walmart and Amazon have been going through to try to gobble up digital commerce real estate. Well, obviously providers and retailers like Walmart aren't going to want to put their entire e-commerce infrastructure on top of the AWS platform, because that would be very valuable data for Amazon to then utilize and take and put into practice on their own. You don't exactly want to be giving your biggest competitor the keys to your online shopping cart, so to speak. So a lot of these providers like Walmart and like Kroger have been opting to partner with Microsoft and to build their e-commerce platforms on Azure. Now that FedEx has entered the arena, they certainly look well positioned to sort of become the exclusive fulfillment and delivery provider for a lot of these Azure Microsoft partner retailers moving forward. You can imagine, again, just like commercial shippers might be tempted to utilize FedEx, especially those that are on the Dynamics 365 solution, retailers who've built their entire e-commerce infrastructure on top of Azure are really going to be tempted to look at FedEx as well, because it's going to mean that there's going to be a much better consumer experience relative to track and trace, online shopping, fulfillment, predictive analytics, inventory replenishment, and that sort of thing. I think this is a pretty well-positioned strategic partnership by both Microsoft and FedEx to be able to kind of collectively gain some inroads into some new markets through some kind of unique cross-selling opportunities. It'll be really interesting to see what that looks like moving forward. I also think that this is going to mean that you're going to see an acceleration of a lot of these AI and machine learning technologies. Like I said in the beginning of the video, these have really just been kind of in the industry, and people have been excited about it and they're talking about it and what's it going to mean. Well, now we're starting to put this into practice via real world applications. So I think a lot of these companies now that have been talking about this, have been looking at making investment in this sort of technology infrastructure, are just going to accelerate that even faster. And from a technology standpoint in logistics and transportation, I think this is going to be a really, really cool and exciting time, because there's going to be lots of new stuff that's coming onto the market relative to better visibility, predictive analytics, and machine learning capabilities for both the commercial and the consumer sectors. And I think it goes without saying, obviously, that the coronavirus and COVID-19 is likely compounding this acceleration. Obviously, we've seen over the last several years this e-commerce revolution, so to speak, and the migration of the consumer experience from the brick and mortar to the online store. Now, with COVID-19, obviously, we've seen just an additional acceleration of that adoption. But I think between you and I, that's probably a long-term shift in consumer behavior, not a short-term one. As I filmed this in May of 2020, many states are still locked down or sheltered in place or something like that. But even as we get back to some form of normalcy, I don't think that we're going to see everybody going back to that brick and mortar experience. I think you're going to see many people that are going to be kind of tepid or hesitant to do that sort of thing and are going to continue to prefer a digital commerce experience. So I think that's going to compound this race to real estate and to gain market share and that sort of thing. And a lot of that's going to be based on having a seamless shopping experience, a huge portion of which is the delivery component of this. So I think that supply chain and technology providers are just going to accelerate their investment in this space. and I think that's going to be really, really exciting. So that's it, guys. I again appreciate you watching this. I think if you're a FedEx customer, you've probably got some things that are going to be pretty exciting in the next couple months. If you are just an online shopper and somebody who buys packages on the internet, this is probably going to mean pretty cool things for you as well. So generally exciting times. As always, if you guys liked the video, I would really appreciate it if you would consider joining the community long term. Hit the subscribe button, like it, leave a comment. Let's have some interaction. I appreciate all that stuff very much as a new channel. It really means a lot to me. So I really hope you guys appreciated this. I hope you guys have a great day, and rock on.